Greetings and salutations. Thanks for watching the video. It is most appreciated. Before we get into anything, I want to say thank you to everybody who has subscribed to this channel. In the last month, we've gotten over 100 subscribers, which is amazing because this year there has been very little content posted to this channel, and the videos that have been posted have not gotten a whole lot of views. Also want to thank everybody who watched my live stream last week. That was sort of an experiment where I sat down and showed you guys a whole bunch of Picture Sleeve 45 records. You can check that out if you want to. Lots of folks have watched that video. That was kind of fun to do. It's an hour and a half of entertainment. The only downside about it is that for whatever reason, the stream was having problems with the audio. There's clicks and pops in the audio, glitches. And I don't know where that came from. I'm recording this video with Simple Screen Recorder and using my outboard CAD U47 condenser mic to do it, so maybe this will sound a little better. When I did that screencast, I used the same computer I'm using to record this, which is my little Dell satellite in the music room. Like I said, it's acceptable. You can watch it, but just be aware there's some things going on with the audio that I didn't like. And I don't know whether that's something that happened in the computer or whether it was packet loss on the stream or anything. But thank you for everybody who watched that, and if you would, go check it out. Yes, it is true. I quit my job. For those of you who don't know, you've just joined the channel, I have spent about the last 6 or 7 years working for B99.9 WZBB as the nighttime air personality there. And I have done a weekly radio show from home, Monday through Friday, and sometimes on the weekend, and sometimes other parts of the day when I was asked to. And also part of my duties there were doing things like recording commercials and mixing on-air audio stuff, liners and promos and things like that. So I had access to all of the software that I would need to record commercials and put them into the automation system at the radio station. Another thing that I did was I revamped the music library at the radio station. Some of the things that they were playing on the air when I first started there were recorded into the automation system 25, 30 years ago when they first started using it. They started doing music from hard disk on the air in 1996. And so what I did was go through all of that and find new sources for things. A lot of it came out of my own collection. Some of it was downloaded from websites that in Nashville, the record companies have websites where you can download current country music and old, country music. And I need various sources just to try and make sure that everything was all digital and hadn't been recorded through an analog board. Because some of that stuff, that's how they did it. And, I wanted to make sure that it was the highest quality that I could get. And the radio station does sound very good. It's just I'm not on it anymore. I want to say right here and now that there are no hard feelings between me and the management of B99.9 WZBB Turner Media Group. They also own Classic Hit Country WYTI in Rocky Mount, Virginia. B99.9 serves Henry County and Franklin County, Virginia. And I might even go back to work for them again in the future. I don't know, but I'm stopping for now. It was decided rather suddenly that I wasn't going to work there anymore by me on Friday. I just called up and said, okay, I'm done. That's it. I can't deal with it anymore. I'm gone. And it's not because anything political or personal. There's no hard feelings at all. As a matter of fact, I want to say thank you right here publicly to everybody there for putting up with me for the last 7 years, because I'm not always the easiest person to work with. And I can be a perfectionist, and I can be very demanding. And so, therefore, I know that I wasn't always a picnic to be around or to deal with. And most of the time, it was a lot of fun. But there are are several reasons why I decided that it was time to go. I actually had been thinking about this for quite some time. Probably like the last year, I've been turning this over in my head. Should I stay? Should I go? Should I stay? Should I go? I didn't quite know what to do. I kind of looked around for other things, but I couldn't really find anything, and I didn't know what to do. And then it just all, you have those moments in life where you get particularly frustrated with something. Okay, that's it, I'm done. And that's where we're at. The frustration mainly comes from the technical side of things. I was able to get away with doing this for a long time. The radio station is 250 miles away from where I live. And I have been doing a nightly radio show, Monday through Friday, weekend shifts, all of this stuff over the internet through a VPN. That's how this is done. When I first started doing this, there were issues that we had to overcome. It was a fun challenge. And there were days when I didn't know whether I was going to be able to do the show. And I would be sitting around waiting to try and resolve some problem to be able to do my job. But in the beginning, those challenges were part of the fun, actually. 7 years down the road, days when what should have taken me about 3 hours to do was, if it took all day to do it and it was constantly fighting the software to do it, and it got extremely frustrating because it was just one thing after another. It's been like that for about the past, I would say, the last year or so. And it's connectivity issues. They have internet problems at the radio station that are beyond their control. It's just it's a rather rural area, and you get what you get. So that's part of the problem. The other part of the problem is the software and the fact that the things that we have done to try and address these issues, it's like whack-a-mole. You fix one thing and then it creates another problem. And that's kind of what happened last Thursday, as I had major issues and I was on the phone with technical support with the people who provide our automation software and all this other stuff. And I thought everything was going to work and it was fine. And then when it came time for the show to go on the air, it didn't. And I just lost it. I was like, okay, that's enough. I mean, I've done this enough. And so that's part of it. And the other part of it is just good old-fashioned grade A burnout. Because it was supposed to be a part-time job. And it's a funny thing about radio and television jobs, broadcasting in general. They told me this when I was back in school. I mean, my teachers were honest. They told us right up front. They said, this is a love-hate relationship. God, that is so true. And the other thing that they said was, you don't take a job at a radio station, you marry it. You become part of that radio station. And it sucks up a lot of your energy. And it's just the nature of the beast. It's how it works. You may say, well, that doesn't sound like too much of a job if on a good day you can get everything done in 3 hours. Well, yeah, that part's okay, but there's a lot of prep that goes into that, and there's a lot of research, and there's a lot of just constantly paying attention to things, and it takes a great deal of creativity. You do a lot in those short those recording sessions. You put your I can't describe it. You just dump a lot of energy into that, and when you're done, or at least when I'm done, I feel drained. It was like it takes a lot out of you, and then if you start having other things on top of that, you can see how that can get frustrating. If you're worried about, am I going to be able to get this on the air today? Do I have to get a hold of somebody to fix a problem? It gets that way. And that had been going on for 7 years, so just burnout. The upside of the thing is that there were moments when it was just incredibly fun because the management at B99.9 is a good friend of mine that I've known for years. For those of you who don't know the story, and probably most of you don't, I worked at B99.9 back in the 90s. In the mid-90s, I was there for a period of time. And I left to go on to do other things in 1997. One of the people that I worked with there, we have stayed friends all of these years, and he went back and bought the radio station from the owners that we worked for back in those days. And I was there when the handshake happened that transferred the radio station ownership. I was there that day. It happened on the 30th anniversary of the radio station. And that day I ended up going on the air for the first time in 11 years. I went up there for this thing and they threw me on the air. Here, go do your thing. Which was terrifying and exhilarating and fun all at the same time. And then later on, I was kind of consulting the radio station for a while, and then we cooked up this idea to do this night show, and I did it for 6 or 7 years. And I could do all kinds of musical features. I could do all kinds of fun things with this. I was able to pretty much, like I said, do whatever I wanted to. So two of the things that I think I'm most proud of is one was a feature that I did for a number of years called the Mini Concert, where every night at 9 o'clock we would feature an artist and we would play a half hour of their music. And I would do a little research and go find out about this artist. And it wasn't really a history lesson or anything, but just like, okay, we're going to just talk about Reba McEntire or George Strait or, any great country artist. New or old, it didn't matter. That was fun. And then the other thing we came up with was a feature called Southern Fried Friday, which was an all-day feature that happened on Friday where we would play upbeat songs, country songs, party songs, and we'd also mix that in with some Southern rock, ZZ Top, Leonard Skinner, stuff like that. And then for Southern Fried Friday evening time, which was 7 to midnight on Friday, I kind of evolved that into a different thing where I was playing a lot of rock and roll, and it was kind of like being in a bar. It was the whole point of it, was like that you're in this kind of roadside bar, and I don't know if you've ever done that, but you go in there and somebody puts money in the jukebox and they play 2 or 3 country songs, and then the next guy walks up and they'll play some rock and roll songs. And that was the whole idea, was to do that on the radio, kind of a wide open party experience. And that was really fun. It was also a great deal of work, and I never could get it automated. I could never use any computer software to automatically schedule music and things like that for various reasons through the years. And so that was something that I actually put together by hand every Friday. So I'd get up on Friday morning and sit down and spend about 3 or 4 hours picking and choosing music to put in for that night. And then once that was done, then I would record it. And Southern Fried Friday, unlike the rest of the week, was a party. So it was wound up. I mean, if you have been a long-time radio listener in the United States, you may remember people like John Landecker and Tom Kent and whatever, the high-profile rock and roll disc jockeys, Wolfman Jack. It was that sort of level of energy. And I'm not Wolfman Jack, but I always like to think that one of my Tom Kent was a fellow who in the early 2000s had a national radio show in the United States that was very high energy, fun oldie show called Hall of Fame Coast to Coast. And before that, he had worked at a lot of radio stations, including WLS in Chicago and WIBG in Philadelphia. And Tom was an acquaintance of mine and quite frankly an idol. I learned a lot from Tom just listening to him. And so this was an opportunity for me to do that kind of radio on a Friday night. Wonderful experience. So, yeah, I mean, I think the good outweighs the bad, but it's kind of like if you watch SpongeBob, there's the one where Squidward goes to Squidland and everything is great, but he just has to keep doing it over and over and over again. And after a while, it's just kind of sucks you dry. Constant creativity is difficult. I mean, to say the same thing every single day and come up with a new way to say it that's interesting is a challenge. And it's kind of where I've been, which is part of the reason why the YouTube channel has suffered through the years, because there was no energy left. I actually was dumb enough to think when I started doing the radio show that I would be able to do that in the morning, and then I would go eat lunch, And then after lunch, I would go and, work on creating videos. And I was supposed to also be in a situation where I was here by myself during the day because the children were in school. Everybody was gone. And right when we started doing B99.9, when I started working there, very quickly after I started working there, COVID hit. And of course, everybody was home. Nobody left. So, yeah. That was a real challenge, too. Try and do a radio show with a house full of kids who are trying to do school online. Yeah, buddy, I'm not going to forget that one. So anyway, that's where I'm at, and now I'm looking toward the future. So I will change the desktop on my Linux Mint virtual desktop. We'll go to desktop number 2 here, and we're looking at the YouTube channel. And this is my focus for the future, for the moment. At some point, I'm going to have to go get a job. YouTube does not provide a great deal of money. Because unlike other YouTubers, I'm not going to be doing sponsors or Patreon or any of that stuff. I don't really want to do that. I'm not saying that I completely will say no to doing that. I might end up reconsidering that decision as time rolls on here, but my gut feeling is not to do it. However, I would like to start putting more emphasis on this channel and come up with some new things to do. I was thinking maybe I could do a series about turntables, like a how-to guide, like a playlist, like 3 or 4 videos about choosing different kinds of turntables, choosing a turntable, setting up a turntable, records, cleaning records, just kind of the basic things like that, because those videos always get a lot of views. There's a lot of people who are interested in records these days and turntables, so that's something that I could focus more on. Also, go back and revisit a lot of the earlier Linux videos from the EzeeLinux days when I was posting Linux content constantly. Most of it is valid. I get comments on it every day from people who watch the old videos and go, "Thank you, this was useful," that sort of thing. But it's getting rather long in the tooth, and of course, EzeeLinux, the project is long gone. The web page is gone. The forum is gone. And if you watch my old videos, you'll hear references to it. That was a thing that I was involved with starting about 11 years ago. 2015, I think I launched EzeeLinux proper. And so that would have been 10 years ago. And we did that until about 2017, and then it started to taper off. The culture of the internet changed, and so kind of backed away from it, and over time the infrastructure just went away. There was a Facebook page, there was a forum, there was a web page, there was I had an association with another Linux page called Freedom Penguin, another project which was run by Matt Hartley, and so I was part of that community as well. We were doing all kinds of stuff together, and it just all sort of changed. It just went away. So that's something else to go think about is what can we do involving Linux, because I still use Linux every day. I have a whole network of Linux computers in my house, and I know that a lot of people are coming to Linux now. We're getting new users all the time for desktop Linux, and unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of focus on YouTube, people talking about desktop Linux. It's always about developers and servers and Docker and all that stuff. And I really don't care about any of that crap. I care about the desktop, and I care about teaching people the basics of how to create a computing environment that they can customize and make their own, which is the greatest thing about Linux. You're not doing it the way they say to do it. You can create your own tools, and it's not terribly hard to learn how to do. And that's what a lot of the old videos were about, so maybe it's time to start doing more videos about that. And finally, I just want to talk a little bit about production value on this channel, which is horrible. I mean, like videos like this, there's nothing to see on the screen. I'm just sitting here doing a little screencast thing, talking into a microphone. And I've been trying to figure out ways to up the production value. Of course, just paying attention helps. I mean, for years I have used nothing but like a screen recorder software like this, or maybe a phone, and take the phone and point it at what I want to record, and then use the pause button on the phone to come up with a video. I don't do video editing. It's something that I'm not good at. The last time that I did it on the channel was years ago, and that was when they had, like Windows Movie Maker, which was just about as easy as it could possibly be. And for a while I was using KDN Live, but it was so difficult for me to get any kind of real results that the main thing is time. If you have to go edit a video, if you're going to shoot a video and edit a video and upload a video all at once, and you're trying to put content up on a regular basis, that's a lot of work. That's a lot to do. And especially if you suck at video editing like I do. So I've always tried to find ways to do this quickly, like what I'm doing now. I just came in here, sat down, turned the computer on, and plugged a microphone into it and started recording. And I'm just talking to you, and this is it. There's no editing. Kind of like old television shows in the 70s. This show was, live recorded to tape, they used to say in the United States at the end of the show. This tape, this show was performed before a live audience and recorded on tape. That was a thing they used to announce. That's kind of the way I do it. It's the way I've always done it, except for like live things. And I need to work on that too, because the live stream I did the other night, it was okay, but I was not happy with the audio. Something else to work on for sure. So your comments and suggestions at this point are invaluable. What do you want to see? What would you like me? Where would you like me to take this channel? What kind of things would you be into? Any feedback that you could give would be greatly appreciated. I'm even thinking about looking into using some AI tools to up the game here a little bit, because I'm not talking about like voice, where the AI, you just feed it a script and the AI generates a voice and then goes and finds stock images to put behind it. There's too much of that crap on YouTube anyway. And I hate robot voices. I just absolutely detest computer-generated voices. I can always hear it, and really, quite honestly, it makes me nauseous. I would rather have a person talk to me in every instance, in every circumstance, unless... if a robot sounds like a robot and I'm talking to a robot, that's fine. But don't try and fool me into thinking it's a person, because robots have no soul. They don't breathe. They mispronounce things. It's very awkward. It's in that uncanny valley for me between real and unreal. And I hate it. It's actually something that's happening in radio that I cannot stand. One of the reasons I'm kind of getting out of the business for a while to see where this goes is that there's a lot of this AI technology that is replacing people just doing simple things like reading the weather or something like that, or back announcing a song. And that really, it literally makes me sick to my stomach. I hate AI. However, there are lots of tools out there that somebody like me could use to create more interesting visual content. Not the voice part, not me talking to you, but what you see on the screen. A lot of videos that I have done in the past, I have created cards with little bullet points on them like a presentation, and then I would record it like a slideshow. Wouldn't it be nice if I could do that same thing and then have that be like moving, or create graphics to explain what I'm talking about in a customized way, if I could figure out how to do it? That's something I'm going to look at. So, if you have any comments about that, put them down below. I'd love to hear from you on this. So anyway, let me recap very quickly. I quit my job. I don't know what I'm going to be doing in the future. And I know that this is going to leave a lot of time for me to figure out interesting, fun things to do here on YouTube. So I'm kind of looking forward to that, and I hope you are as well. Thank you for watching. We will talk again soon.